We've got the Royal Flush Plus from VS Audio on the bench today. This is a reimagining of their now classic Royal Flush dual overdrive pedal. They've incorporated a bunch of customer feedback into this one, and while it is still a dual bluesbreaker style drive with a low gain side on the right and a high gain side on the left, they have now added a passive effects loop. They've added more headroom, so you can run this with an 18-volt power supply if you like, and each channel now has a two-way edge switch so that you can change up the character and the amount of gain. What I like about the effects loop on there is if you want to run this with, say, a switching system, or you want to insert different pedals between each side, you can basically run this like two totally independent pedals. It's using a really high quality JFET to generate all the distortion and compression as well. So there's no LEDs, there's no clipping diodes or anything like that. I mostly want to focus on running this into a clean amp to get all the drive sounds out of it for this video, but stick around because later I'm going to plug a Les Paul in and run this as a boost into a JCM 800 style amp. Let's dig in. Start out with my old Gibson 335. This has the stock Gibson T-top pickups in it. I'm going from the guitar into the Royal Flush into the clean channel of the Synergy Syn 20 IR. Let's hear the bridge pickup and then the neck pickup clean. So it's a pretty neutral, clean sound, and I want to start out with the two sides of the pedal set up with identical controls. Note that the gain is on 0 here and the edge switches are down. So I want to hear how we can just use this essentially like a high quality clean boost to enhance what's already going on coming out of the pickups and with the amp. We'll hear the low gain side first, then the high gain. And this guitar has a coil split on it that really neuters the overall tone. So I think that being able to have the coil split on to get a different character out of the guitar, but then use the low gain side into the high gain sound is going to be a cool tone. Let's start out though on the bridge pickup. We'll hear the low gain side, edge switch down, volume and tone at 1 o'clock, gain all the way down. Organic is a term that gets overused a lot with drive pedals, and it's a bit of an oxymoron because really we are manipulating electricity and distortion here. But setting up each side with the gain down low like that and just pushing the amp a little bit harder does sound quite organic. And we heard there on that tapped mode or split mode on the guitar that being able to stack both sides makes up for that big loss in output when I split these pickups. What I want to do now is turn the gain control up to about 10, 11 o'clock on each side, have a listen to how we're now adding some clipping from the pedal, and then kick in the edge switch to get more gain and brightness out of each side. Again, let's hear the low gain side first. super thick and creamy with the 335. I like that they fix a classic issue with the blues breaker style circuit where basically you've got to crank the volume all the way up just to get enough output. On this, you can run the volume around noon or 1 o'clock, and you've got plenty of output on there and plenty of headroom remaining. We also heard that stacking both sides together doesn't just give you this massive amount of hiss and noise. So it's a very well thought out and engineered pedal in that regard. I like that the edge switch as well can bring out a different character. So let's hear the right side with the edge switch up and the left side with the edge switch down. I'm on my old Strat now. I'm going to use the right side basically to beef up the overall tone of the Strat and add some output to it because it is a little bit anemic with this setup. I can see why so many people fell in love with the original version of this pedal. It just makes it easy to get those thick and creamy blues and fusion tones. A classic use case for myself and a lot of other people who like to use amp distortion is using a drive pedal with the gain all the way down and the volume and tone up, essentially as a filter to shape what's going into the amp. So I've got my Les Paul now, Synergy 800 module set up for some crunch. Let's have a listen to what each side can do. And again, I really like the right side with that edge switch up and the left side with the edge switch down. The right side's going to give me more of a classic kind of mid push, whereas the left side is going to keep a bit of the low end intact and just give it a bit more oomph. Let's have a listen in drop D. I think the way I would run this with an 800 style amp or any Marshall style design to beef it up would be maybe to use the right side as my always on tightening style boost on there, where I don't really need that much gain, and then use the left side with the tone control down and the edge switch up to just make everything super creamy. So basically I'd have my rhythm tone from the right side set up as a kind of tight boost, and then I kick in the left side for my leads. I'm going to pull up stumps right there. If you want any more information, it is linked in the video description. I like that they have added an effects loop to this. So if you want to use this as two totally independent drive pedals at different points in the signal chain, and say have the right side going into a compressor and an EQ, then into the left side, you can do that on your board. If you want to use it with a switching system as separate pedals, you could do that as well. I like that they've also added the ability to run this up to 18 volts if you want a bit more clean headroom on there. And those edge switches and the overall layout and build quality is everything I've come to expect from VS Audio. They do some really high quality stuff. You can check out some of the other pedals that I've demoed by them on the channel. A big shout out to Panos and the team there for sending this one out to me so that I could make this video. If you want to support what I do, there's links to my music and my Patreon in the video description. Otherwise, I will see you all on the next one. Thanks for watching.